Not every kid can afford
No.
a cowboy.
No.
A vintage ass expensive cowboy.
No. Mm-mm.
You ready?
Yeah, I guess.
It is time to party like it's the greatest year in film. She's already laughing.
Because it's such a good title.
Do you think so?
Yes, I do. It's hilarious.
Because I hate it. Like, it's super dumb. But
I love dumb things.
If
So,
that's-
you know.
I mean, well, look at what we're talking about today.
This is why I'm here.
Anyway, I'm Kristen, and with me today is Amber.
Hello.
Happy New Year.
Oh, yeah. It is the new year. What a great way to start it off.
So this podcast is going to revisit movies from 1999 to take an honest look at how they hold up 20 years later. And thanks for coming with me on this rat race, because like I'm sure we're not the only ones who have this idea.
When you said Rat Race, was Rat Race made in 1999?
Probably not. I think it was earlier.
Okay.
That's going to be my guess.
Okay. That's the one with what's his face, right?
I'm thinking Cuba Gooding Jr. There were like a lot of people in that movie.
Yeah, there was, but I'm talking about Mr. Bean. What's his name? What's his real name? Doesn't matter. Whatever. Sorry. We're derailing.
All right. Each episode, we're going to talk about a different movie from 1999, and the definition of what counts as from 1999 is pretty squishy,
Oh, really?
because most of us who are going to be guesting aren't huge film buffs. This is as far as like movies that have dubs versus subs. Like, did they come out in 99 in the original language, or were they released here that
gotcha.
year? Or
I see. I see what you mean.
so who cares?
Yeah, we don't know what we're talking about.
We're just trying to have fun here. Our opinions can be as unpopular and unsourced as we want.
Thank you for that disclaimer.
Advantages of existing outside academia. Am I right?
Yeah. Mhm,
All right.
mhm.
And just judging from the composition of our network, I'm sure we'll be applying principles of anime,
Yes.
because doesn't everything come down to anime when you distill it? far enough?
Sure.
Okay. So I have a story.
Oh. Story time.
I wanted to text everyone last night because I was so freaking excited, because I got out my old CRT
Okay.
and my VCR
oh my god.
and hooked them up
Are you shitting
and
me?
put a tape in it, and it worked.
Are you serious?
And I was so excited.
I don't even remember the last time I had a VCR. It was probably like a TV VCR combo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We still, my dad has a couple acres in Hoosier National Forest, a cabin down there.
Mhm.
And there's definitely one of those.
Oh wow.
So we still have tapes.
wow.
down there.
I think the last two VHS tapes that I owned were The Princess Bride and Totoro.
Yeah.
And then those were the last ones, and then I finally got rid of them a while ago. Like 6 years ago.
I've been stubbornly hanging on to some of them, and now I'm glad.
Wow.
But I also now have the option of going to Half Price Books
Oh,
and
yeah.
picking up tapes, because they're all $1. So if I can find any of these,
I bet your library sales have a lot of good tapes.
probably.
Too.
Yeah.
Like 25 cents, probably.
And my other plan is disc replay. See
Yeah.
if, I mean, it doesn't have to be on VHS, but I'm sure they're cheaper.
I'm lucky that Netflix had the movie that we are going to talk about today.
That's why I chose it.
Good.
So that's part of it. Is I'm kind of amazed at how few of these movies are on Netflix. Like, I went through
Really?
all of the ones that people had signed up for, and there's only like 5 of them.
Wow.
And one of them is a Disney movie, and they're going to get pulled from Netflix pretty soon.
Right. Huh. Yeah, so I think this is going to be a challenge in some cases to do this on the up and up, unless we can find
There is
sources.
a second page on the sign-up spreadsheet
Oh, okay.
that I have gone through. I have availability. So,
Uh-huh.
like, there's a library column. Almost everything is at the library
Okay, cool.
in Indy.
Oh, wow.
And almost all of them are also streaming on Amazon Prime.
Okay, cool.
I don't know who has that or
Yeah.
not, but it should be easy to get them on the up and up, as long as I warn people ahead of time so that they can place a hold at the library, kind
or
of thing.
find somebody who has Amazon Prime and
Yeah, and I hope to get my hands on and own a couple more of the more difficult ones to find.
like what's some of the movies that you did put on this? I remember you sending out a huge list. It's like because like when I think back in '99, the one thing that pops out in my mind the most is like The Matrix,
Yep.
and then from there I can't really remember most of '99. Then
Oh.
again, I was 11 years old, so
I'm pulling up the spreadsheet.
a lot of the movies I probably wasn't allowed to watch.
Yeah, maybe not. Dogma's a big one.
Oh, I love Dogma.
Office Space.
Okay.
Classic. The Sixth Sense.
Oh wow.
Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
The Green Mile.
Ooh, that's another really good one.
Lake Placid, which we should probably also do because it's much like this one.
Yes.
I'll get you in on that one.
I need to be that one on because I watch that one a lot. Surprisingly, I didn't watch this one a lot.
And Wild Wild West.
Oh my god. I had the Burger King classes.
And I very recently discovered that Wing Commander was that year, so I'm going to make somebody do that. Like, I'm sure I can rope Brandon into that.
Yeah, probably. Easily.
So, yeah.
He watched.
There's a couple I'm going to force him to do because, look, I'm the boss, and so the movies that I want to do are the ones we're going to do.
All right.
Okay, anyway, I was very excited about this VCR. You did have one. You're like, I mean, just like the experience of all of the sounds.
Well, so here's the thing, right? My dad, when we were growing up, in transition between construction worker, there's a bunch of times he did a lot of different jobs, and then another construction. He worked at Video World.
Oh.
So we got to go into the back room and watch videos in the office. And so, yeah, it was a lot of squeezing the box to make the tape come out and then putting it in and then, just
all the clicks and the whirs.
And we got like pre, like a Video World copy, like a pre-screening movie thing. And so we would get those tapes and they would always come up like, property or Video World on top of it. But we get to watch movies early and stuff. So
that's awesome.
I have good memories of watching VHS tapes, and like they had like 2 VCRs and 2 TVs back there, and like headphones and stuff. It was fun.
When I was real little, we had a rewinder.
A special one that would look like we didn't have it. I was obsessed with the one that was at my aunt and uncle's house because it looked like a Corvette.
Yeah. Ours was just a gray box, but I have heard of these
because there's like a VC, and I had a VCP because I couldn't record. I just had a video player, which was hooked to my TV that was like the click knob TV.
I had one of those too.
That you would watch like UHF channels on and stuff. Yeah. Oh my god, memories.
So anyway, I took pictures of all these electronics as I was setting it all up because I need Gen Z to understand what it was like.
What it was like.
Probably make a video. I swear these sounds are so like, it just sent me into some kind of nirvana of like, I have returned. I am home.
It gets faster as it goes.
There's like that high pitched hum.
And then you know when it's getting ready to stop.
Yep.
And we would get so good at knowing right when to stop it. So you wouldn't get the movie commercials at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It depended on the tape for me, but I would sometimes watch those. Like there was one. There was a tape for The Land Before Time.
Okay.
That had a Pizza Hut commercial before it. And it was like some birthday party with some little boy that had a crush on a little girl. And I would watch that like it was a movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, for me, I remember getting, the Totoro VHS. We would borrow it from my aunt and uncle's house all the time. And they just, to the point where they just gave it to us. But it was like opening into a world of animation because like all of the commercials before it were like for Kiki's Delivery Service and other anime studio houses and stuff. And it was like other stuff exists that we don't know about that we want to see.
It was your gateway drug.
Yeah, it was. I really wanted to watch Kiki so bad for so long, but I didn't get to see it until like in my adulthood.
I feel like 99 was a transitional period between tapes and DVDs.
Yeah.
There's no way for me to know when we had them, but I know our first DVDs were The Matrix, Gladiator, which was 2000, and Blade.
My first DVD was A Knight's Tale.
Good one.
The Matrix. And I want to say we had a copy of Midsummer Night's Dream, which had, it was whatever the Hollywood one is. And then we also had Chicago, but that was, we didn't have a lot of DVDs. I mean, that wasn't an early movie, was it? Chicago?
I feel like that was a couple years later.
Yeah, but we didn't have a lot of DVDs.
I feel like it was a weird thing. What?
My Big Fat Greek Wedding was another one we had.
I don't know what year that one was. I've never seen that.
I want to say it was probably in 2000,
early
2000s, because I was at least 12 or 13 when I saw that movie. It was like one of the only romance movies that existed that like had no explicit like sex stuff that my mom allowed us to watch.
Yeah, I don't know. watched a lot of shit as a kid that I probably shouldn't have been allowed to watch, but totally was allowed to. Some of them are on this list.
Woo! Yeah, 1999 was because you would have been my same age, right? 11?
Just about.
Okay.
I feel like it was weird at the time. Like, I don't know if it was just that we didn't have a DVD player, but we had them playing off the computer in another room and then like hooked up to the TV.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, it took a lot of work for it to happen.
Okay. I remember it was a huge event in our house when we got a DVD
Totally.
player. And literally, A Knight's Tale was the first DVD we watched.
And they were very expensive. Like, I remember walking around to Target and seeing a DVD for Dogma that was $40. I remember
Holy
this.
crap.
This is, I don't know why this image has been burned into my head.
Well, I mean, Blu-rays are like $35.
Yeah, they started out like that, and now you can get them for $5 at Target, depending on what they are, how old they are.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's all the intro I had.
Okay.
Do you have anything else to add as far as
Nostalgia-wise or...
loving tapes and...
Recently, there was this thread on Twitter where somebody was asking, tell me your sweet, like, stories about your parents who indulge, like, your anime side, right? And so one of my big memories that revolves around VHS tapes, specifically, was when Dragon Ball Z was being put out on tape. Walmart had, like, Tuesdays or Wednesdays were, like, their new movie release day. And so my dad was super into Dragon Ball Z, and so we would go... on Tuesday night or Wednesday night or whatever to go pick up the next installment of whatever saga, probably think it was the Cell Saga, and get that VHS, come back home.
How often would these come out?
Was it like... It's like once a month thing.
Oh, okay.
Because it was like, I mean, all the stuff already aired in Japan, so it was like
so was it
Funimation
like
putting out DVD.
4 or 5 episodes of tape?
It was 4 episodes of tape. And so we would go and get those tapes. But then I also remember specifically, since we talked about 1999 and one of the big movies that we can remember is The Matrix, I remember Dad putting in a tape, laying down in the living room, falling asleep like he usually does, and then us walking in and seeing The Matrix happen.
Wow.
And it was like definitely a movie my mom would not let us have seen. But I remember watching it and freaking out as an 11-year-old. I think that was like also like it's the year that like because it was 11, 12 years old, it was also like when you're transitioning your media too.
Yes.
So you're starting to get out of kid stuff and into like the more adult themed things you can understand a little bit more complex. Yeah. And so that was also interesting, an interesting year to choose for us to go over these movies as well.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's part of like, for some reason it's always stuck. Like I would always look at the year on the back of tapes or on the back of a DVD case. For some reason, a lot of my favorites are from this year. And I don't know if it's because, I mean, a lot of them are extremely good and still are and still hold up. But like you said, I was just at that age where that's where you're starting to set your personality and the things that you like.
It's going to be interesting.
That's it.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be interesting when you get different aged guests on here.
I know.
Different generation.
I know.
Because we do have a pretty good pool to draw from.
I know. I'm interested to hear from Chris.
Yes.
Because he was a fetus, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, he basically.
And Dave, who was like a fully formed human being.
And John, who's Chris's dad.
I hope he can come in here too.
Yeah, he'll definitely. I think he would love to talk about it. But yeah, then we have, Brandon, who's just, 3 years makes a big difference in your media consumption and how you view it.
Right.
Because I'm viewing stuff in 99 as an 11-year-old and he's viewing stuff
as a teenager.
14-year-old, yeah.
Teenagers are so different from preteens.
Yeah, I know. It's weird.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
So I'm excited. And whoever else you get on here, so.
Yeah. My cousin, who is 2 months older than me.
Okay.
And my mom. So, yeah. Okay, so I did not watch this movie on tape, unfortunately.
Wow.
I did watch it on streaming on my Windows phone, which is so millennial of me, but...
And I watched it on my Apple TV using Netflix.
That's also pretty millennial.
Yep.
Yeah.
We keep saying this movie.
This movie is Deep Blue Sea. We made the shark's brains too big.
Oh my God. I was so excited when Krista texted me. It was like, all right, let's do this episode. It'll be the first one. Also, it should probably be Deep Blue Sea. I'm like, yes. Because I have this major soft spot for man v nature movies.
Okay.
Like they're like my put it on, zone out.
Yes.
Like I'm gonna knit maybe. But even as a
That's
kid,
what I was doing.
Yes. And I did this where I was doing it while I was watching it. But like also it's just like maybe because my dad influenced me a lot. He used to watch a lot of those old bee movies or like the ant snakes or the birds. and like all that stuff. Well, The Birds isn't a B movie, but you know what I'm talking about, where it's like Man v Nature. I was exposed to younger, and I don't know why it's just such a like fun trope genre for me.
It's a cartoon. That's why they're cartoons.
They're pretty ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So that's why you chose this film?
Yeah, and I was the only one who signed up for it.
That was fine because I wanted the first episode to just kind of be pretty low key and just one person and low pressure. Mm-hmm. And I figured this would be a good place to start.
Yes. So I can't remember the last time I even saw Deep Blue Sea. It's probably one of those movies now where it's like, if it's on the TV during Thanksgiving or family time or whatever, I would just leave it on. But I can't remember the last time I watched it.
What was the first time you saw it?
On VHS.
Okay.
Because my dad would bring home movies all the time from Video World. And it was in the back room of my grandmother's house. I think it was in the back room of my grandmother's house. I can't remember exactly, but it was in my grandmother's house, definitely. And I don't have like a lot of specific memories about it because it was one of those things where like
it's more like a sense memory.
Yeah, it was like, okay, they're underwater. Okay, there's scary shark stuff. Also, I don't remember being the CGI as bad as it was.
I have no idea if it was bad or not because it was very tiny for me.
Oh, on your phone?
Yeah. And I was also like half paying attention because knitting.
Oh my God. So I don't remember the CGI being bad when I first watched it. It does not stand up.
So I remember at least early on where they have like a shark suspended and they're like looking at it and it's very clearly a mechanical thing. But I was like, you know what? I'm fine with practical effects. Like this is great.
Effects are great.
This is great.
But the CGI I'm talking about specifically is like literally in my extensive notes that I took was literally like the first shot is like camera aerial view, bird's eye view down on a boat on the ocean, right? That's literally the first thing that we see. And both the boat and the ocean are clearly CGI and like bad CGI.
Wow, I did not notice.
You didn't notice that?
I was too busy like listening to the music, which was so evocative. And here's a boombox with a very conspicuously placed teddy bear on top.
I took a note of that because I just watched The Meg, which came out in last year, 2018.
Okay, wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
2018. When I was traveling, and again, I put it on because I was knitting, and it's like I know what I'm getting into when I'm watching movies. Like you know what the tropes are going to be.
It's junk food.
It's just junk food. So they also had a sequence like that where there was like this cute like dog that they set up.
You know that dog's getting it.
You know, right? Like that's the whole point of that cute thing is going to be is like to go out into the ocean and get et. But the dog didn't get et. Spoiler alert. But yeah, it's just like this. The things that are tropey to me are like dangling your feet in the water and the constant like underwater shots of the foot, and then like also what was weird to me was like you have two couples that are like obviously trying to like fuck each other. Not like the couples are trying to fuck each other, but like you know.
Yes.
And then like he's like one of them goes, the writing. We're having a party, man. Like we can't tell.
All right, hang on. Let's do the summary.
Okay.
I pulled the summary from IMDb. Pretty straightforward. Searching for a cure to Alzheimer's disease, a group of scientists on an isolated research facility become the prey as a trio of intelligent sharks fight back.
The demon sharks from hell.
Oh my god. Okay. All right.
You know what my favorite part of all the science is?
What's that?
So you know how like you see science shots and play like these cheesy movies where like they pour like colored Kool-Aid into other Kool-Aid. So they had like the live brain tissue
and they're
cells,
not wearing gloves.
And no one's wearing gloves or anything. But then they just drip shark juice onto this live cells of an Alzheimer patient's brain, which makes me wonder where the fuck did they take this? Okay, so there's questions there.
We have so many questions.
But then they just drip juice on it, and then all of a sudden, the neurons are firing, the brain cells are growing, the cellular structure is coming back, and I'm like, is this science? You just drip some shark brain juice onto...
Science.
Okay, whatever.
For science.
Oh, God. There's just so many things.
I think my other favorite part, other than not wearing gloves, was wearing a white coat to stand in a bunch of water next to a shark.
Would that happen?
That was when she was without gloves, sticking a needle into the shark's head.
Oh, when the shark is like...
this is right before we lose Stellan Skarsgård.
Okay. So I have to talk about this. So as I'm watching this movie and I'm like keeping track of like all of these things that are happening and who it's happening to, over time I realize that Deep Blue Sea is a Christian movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, holy shit.
A lot of it comes from the one character.
Preacher. The LL Cool J's character.
Who is adorable.
Which I love.
Yes.
Great character. I love like his last, basically like, I gotta leave a legacy behind. It's like how to make a perfect omelet. That's great. I love that kind of stuff. But like,
there are so many shots of that cross. So many.
And they like him and another character, the creepily like science guy who's like always spouting off science facts.
I liked him. What was his name? Scoggins?
Scroggard?
Something?
Scroton.
I liked him.
He was okay, but like he obviously was a trope character, right?
Yes.
But him and Preacher both talk to God all the time. Why are you doing this to us?
Right.
You know, let me give us a break. Talking obviously to God, but like if you think about like what is it? Here's from my notes: don't sex. The party boat.
Well, that's pretty common in horror movies.
Yes,
and
the
that's
slasher, the promiscuity. Yeah, thing.
If you're trying to fuck, you're gonna die.
Yes. So don't sex. Which,
however,
also
we'll come back to this.
Okay. We'll come back to the slasher stuff.
The horror. The don't sex part.
Okay. So don't sex. Don't smoke. Scars when he starts to smoke, and then the shark bites his.
Gotcha.
So a vice. Sure. Don't drink because as Preacher is starting to drink, he throws his bottle on the ground. Sorry, God, and he lives.
Yes.
Don't play God, which is the whole like also woman scientist.
Yes,
don't be a woman
who ends up not really martyr, I guess, but
she kind of did.
She very much
gave herself up.
Yes.
Okay, and then also like I said, don't do a curse, which is the bird.
He did. That bird.
It was a horrible bird.
That bird swears so much.
LL Cool J's character, you're great, but you can name a bird something different than bird.
I thought that was the most believable part of the whole film. Was that a man would name his bird Bird.
Bird, come here, bird. Bird,
get your feathery ass over here. I'm pretty sure feathery ass happens twice.
I know. And then like the part where he was like feeding the bird like whipped cream. He's like, oh yeah, you like that? Oh, you got a nasty looking tongue. I was like, okay, let's not talk about the bird's tongue. What is this scene doing for us right now? Are we establishing character?
It's good, clean fun.
Okay. So anyway, in conclusion, Deep Blue Sea is a Christian movie.
That's wonderful. Very nice.
Oh my God. There's just so much praying, so much like when the waters were coming in and they all hold their hands and he's giving like this prayer. I'm like, wow.
And then he kind of went off script. I mean, he
got his
own. Threw some swears in there too.
Fine. Okay, so maybe birds can't swear, but a preacher can.
Against nature.
Wow. So yeah, that was my takeaway from this movie. So
you went way deeper than I did because here's my takeaways.
Okay.
Thomas Jane is very handsome. Samuel Jackson is a drama queen.
Oh yeah.
LL Cool J is adorable. We've been over this.
Yes.
Stellan Skarsgård is Swedish.
Okay.
And 1999 was obsessed with the year 2000. We'll get to that.
Okay.
Going back to the don't do sex part. So we're familiar with this horror trope of the kids who try to fuck are the ones who die first.
Yes.
So they were going for that at the beginning, but then Blondie harpoons the shark to save them. So I don't, in your paradigm, what is he then?
I don't know. I don't know where to put Carter because like we were trying to like also like figure out if they're like maybe some of them some of these characters were associated with certain sins.
Yes, so he was definitely put on a redemption arc for sure.
Well, and it's one of the things where it's like going back to the Meg. It's this huge trope where you have this the scientist who's like, let's not kill, let's be like observe, let's get the data, let's do all this, and then you have this other character who's like, no, this is not good. We shouldn't be messing with nature. This is not right. We need to kill these things. They're an abomination. You see it in Jurassic Park too,
right?
Even like the Fallen Kingdom, which. Where Fallen Kingdom kind of is in the same category as Deep Blue Sea as me. Because it's also like, here's this woman, I can't even remember her freaking name, where she's like, no, we have to save the dinosaurs. And he's like, oh no, we can't do that. And then like, why I don't. So you have this. I think he exists as to tell people, don't mess with nature. Don't. I'm talking about Carter now.
Yeah.
He exists to prove the naughty demon science lady wrong.
He is very, very, very human. Like he is the most.
Right.
He is salt of the earth, kind of one with nature.
Yeah.
Shark whisperer, kind of. It was okay. So like he harpoons that first shark, and I'm like, hello.
Okay.
And then he wrestles a shark, and I wanted him to die.
When he pulled the license plate out of the teeth.
What the? I was like,
okay,
all right, I see what you're supposed to be.
Right, exactly.
But then everyone else in the film became insufferable, and so he kind of got bumped back up the ladder.
I see. So yeah, it was like I had put in my notes, woman of science versus man of kill.
Okay.
Because just that's just my like we need to observe.
Yeah.
Versus no, this is going to hurt us more if we observe it or keep it alive.
I don't know. I think it was more of what you're doing with those observations, because that's what he was about, observation. Like, this is what I see is happening, and you are not listening to me.
Okay.
Like here is how things are on Earth.
Maybe it's more like scientists abusing nature for their own gain. And then here is man saying, no, you shouldn't play. This man who's supposed to stand in and say, no, you're not supposed to be playing God. And this is, we've been, here's what's happening, and we should stop this now.
There are hints that he's like an ex-felon, or
yes, yeah.
Like she's been tacitly, like she's been hanging this over his head of like, you keep your fucking mouth shut,
right,
or you're out of here.
Right. Anyway, so I think he's supposed to be like the one common sense, or if there is like this weird like religious slant or Christian slant that we are seeing where it's like, no, this is not right.
Are you familiar with id, ego, and superego?
Mm-mm.
I just now started trying to think about who would fit into which. I guess Preacher would probably be superego if you want to compare him to like a Simon in Lord of the Flies.
Okay.
And it's kind of hard. I guess id would be Carter as being the salt of the earth person with flaws and backstory, I guess. Mm-hmm. But he is also portrayed as the good one. Mm-hmm. Like in no way does this movie think that this British scientist lady is a good person.
Did you read the there was an article talking about how when they first released this movie that they had a different ending. Mm-mm. And so they were doing it but on test audiences. Mm-hmm. And they originally had Carter, LL Cool J, and the scientist woman actually living. Yeah. But people booed, and they did not like it. They hated it.
Well, she's awful.
Yeah, so they did they did it with the where she died, and everyone was like, yeah!
That moment really, really surprised. There were a couple things trope-wise that really surprised me in this movie. I had never seen this before.
Oh, really?
I had never seen this.
Okay.
Let me find him in my notes.
Sure.
I think one of them was, we haven't even talked about Samuel Jackson.
No, we haven't even gone to him because like again, he's the character who's just funding this operation.
Right.
And so to me, I think, and just having watched The Meg, they have it's basically the same setup too. There's an aquatic center that is supposed to be doing some like test science stuff. Science for the greater good of mankind, and then unleash a horrific evil upon the planet that then other people have to take care of.
Right.
And so there was also Ryan Wilson played a character that was much like Samuel L. Jackson's character, where it's like, I'm funding this. I'm coming to see what I've been funding. Cool. I don't know if I'm going to pull this operation or not. Oh, we're going to keep giving you money. And then what happens? It
goes to hell?
Yeah, it goes to hell in front of them. But yeah, so what surprised you about, because you brought up Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes.
Spoiler alert.
Come on.
If you haven't seen this by now... you should still see it because it's silly.
It's really dumb, and that's why it's great. So I was like, the reason you cast somebody with a big name is because they bring their previous roles with them.
Right.
Sam Jackson is a huge name. Mm-hmm. And if he is in a movie from minute 2 or whatever, you expect him to be in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he's black, and you can't have a black man die in a movie like this. He super gets eaten. Like, that's the thing. Like, he's out here giving a crazy speech. And the only time he's ever a good actor is if he's giving a speech, because he can't be a normal human being. Like, that's like, he tries to make some jokes, and that doesn't go over either with the characters or me, because he's, I don't know, not good at doing lines unless
there's like some like...
Yes, exactly. So he's giving this speech, this tirade about, here's how I got out of the avalanche, and here's what really happened, and this is what it's like, and we are going to do this, and then he's gone. And then a shark jumps out of a hole and eats him. So that happened.
And so that surprised you?
That did. There is a lot of lampshading, mostly from LL Cool J, because he seems to know what kind of movie he's in.
Yeah, kind of,
Like the brothers never make it out of this kind of situation.
I gotta get out of here.
And he also makes a comment when Carter and the woman come out of the bathroom, like, sorry to interrupt this, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, it cracked me up because, like, we were talking about Samuel L. Jackson and Carter, the two black men in the movie. They're the
Preacher.
Preacher.
You said Carter.
Oh, oops, sorry. LL Cool J.
Carters are always blonde or redheaded, by the way.
Yeah, okay. So there's, like, this whole, like awkward interaction between LL Cool Preacher and Samuel L. Jackson's character at, like, the dinner, like, he's here to see the ship and the
First of all, the only person who is stationed on the facility who is a person of color is in a service position. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yep. But they have this awkward interaction where, like, Samuel L. Jackson calls him brother or whatever, and then LL Cool J says something like, you know, you shouldn't be going to climb mountains because that's how brothers all die or whatever. And I'm like, you are stationed out in the middle of the ocean on this, like,
you are on a hunk of concrete
sea lab full of
fucking sharks,
hyper-violent sharks. You
with
are
big brains,
and you're one to fucking talk, you dipshit.
Yeah, but he's not the scientist who's in charge of it. He's just he's on the sidelines.
Yeah, I'm making mashed potatoes and omelets. Or whatever.
But the food was good.
It looked like good cornbread. No, it was cakes, because that's why he had the whipped cream for. Anyway, whatever.
Eggs Benedict was on the menu.
Oh, man.
Having his character lampshade the forced sexual tension that wasn't really there.
No, it wasn't at all.
And I loved that, because that's always in there forced. And, like, he maybe at the beginning was kind of interested, but realized how much she was fucking using him.
Yep.
And what exactly she was doing to manipulate him.
Yeah. I didn't feel that either. I didn't feel like there was any, like, romantic undertones in their interactions, dialogue, or anything.
And yeah, that surprised me.
Like, it really does, because, like, the Meg is the two, like, the science woman and the, like, super solid earth. They totally are, like, it's just heavy-handed, like, they're going to end up together.
I really appreciate when action thrillers don't go there.
Right. Because, there's no kiss.
Nope. There's not even a threat. Despite them not trying to fuck, she still dies, which surprised me also. Yeah. Which, like you said, I guess worked for the test audiences because she was a horrible person that no one liked.
Yep.
So yeah, there were a couple times that I would have expected a big dumb action movie with fucking sharks in it to go a certain way, and it didn't.
How'd you feel about the characters overall? Like, as far as, like, being drawn to any one of them? I can tell you the only one I felt like actually had any sort of, like connectability, or like, oh, this person has some depth to them or some interest, was Preacher.
Yeah, he was definitely the biggest.
Like, we got to see hints into his life and his back, and not in a forced, weird way.
But he was, like, in his own movie somehow. Yeah, like, he had his own shit. Like, you have these parallel storylines, which is fine, and they eventually converge. But then, I don't know, he's still, like, this other figure. He's still this other...
Yeah.
I don't know, and his style, like, he was obviously the comic relief also, but I don't know what it is.
I just didn't feel compelled by any character. I mean, and these movies aren't supposed to really be about the character depth or anything, I guess. I mean, I'm thinking about, like, other Man v.
I was
Nature.
Just fucking waiting for that blonde woman to die. She was, like, the worst actor in that whole thing.
Oh, Jan?
Fuck, yeah.
I don't want to
die. God. But with the people who hung on the longest, I did really start to like Carter really grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
The goatee man really grew on me because he was a scaredy cat and still got the things done. Skogs.
Oh yeah, Scrognard.
Whatever his name was. And plus he had a callback line, which meant he was gonna die.
He also had the weirdest lines, like, they're huge, they're really huge. What are you talking about? Your brass balls.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Skrgerts.
That wasn't his fault.
I know.
That was the writers. Who are you gonna trust? Me.
Yeah.
Me.
God.
So the second time that line comes around, you're like, oh, this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
You're next.
You're next. You've served your purpose.
Your arc is completed. I loved the ending.
It is good. Yeah. I love that, like, because when
I love that he missed and he got a harpoon through his fucking leg. That was great.
But also my favorite part was when it's like, you just got done off this horrific shark escapade and you're letting your legs dangle in the water. Yeah. And so, like, when Peter's like,
so
are you sure there were only three? And then he just slowly picks his legs up. I was like, that was actually really good because I was feeling it the entire time where I was like, dude, why are you letting your legs dangle? Why are you letting we saw in the beginning of the movie, you don't let your feet dangle in the water. Anyway,
and then they both kind of just like lean back at the same time. Like
oh, thank God. But yeah, I think like as far as a slasher slash man v nature movie, it's a decent.
It's fine.
It's fine. Like it's the same way I felt with like the Meg, where it's like at least the Meg has better graphics and the technology's up to date, and there's some actually good. The Meg actually had some good suspenseful like moments in it where I was like actually. But again, maybe because the CGI was more realistic or whatever, where this was a little bit more like cartoony. Like definitely any sort of the shark dismemberment of people and like the fake CGI things are happening in the water didn't really stand up. But like, I don't know, it's just a good, bad movie.
Yes.
So I don't know if we're going to do like ratings or whatever.
That's definitely the Flophouse has 3 different ratings. They have bad,
yeah,
good, bad, and kind of liked.
Yeah, I would say it's like
they also have marginal good bad, which is kind of between good bad and kind of liked.
Yeah, I think if he was definitely good bad for its time, maybe I don't want to steal the Flophouse's like rating system, but like I kind of rate it as again like one of my ratings for movies is like wouldn't turn the channel if it was on at a family function.
I think my rating would be dumb, like in the Jeff Gerstmann sense of like I hold this in some esteem because it is so dumb and it knows what it is. It is a cartoon.
Yes,
it just goes for it.
It just does it. Yeah, like you said. Yeah.
So dumb, that is a positive rating, just so we're clear on that.
Okay, we're clear. Yeah.
Another thing that I want to get to in every episode is what is the thing? So what is the thing that makes this movie for you? What is the most memorable image? What is the thing that makes this movie?
It's honestly... It is this ridiculous juxtaposition of like trying to have like this serious thing with the ridiculousness of it. And so to me, what stood out the most, and I laugh when I think about it, is there's this whole scene where the science woman that we hate is saying like, I have to go get the data because even if all the people who've died, if they've died for nothing, it's blah, blah, blah. It's useless. It's useless. And then LL Cool J's character turns and goes, death is always useless. Yeah. And I was just like, this is stupid.
Y'all both dumb.
It's all dumb. So to me, it's like, for me, it's just this, it's
just a movie-ass movie.
It is a movie-ass movie. And I don't know, like, that's it. It's just that like, try to be serious, but then just owning the fact that it's stupid.
So when you hear Deep Blue Sea, what is the thing that comes to your mind? Is it that scene?
Literally, I just think of LL Cool J's character the entire time. Where
and
it's
a bright
like,
green bird. Fucking swearing.
Get your feathery ass over here.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't. Like, it's so funny that even the sharks just weren't even that remarkable to me. Like, they weren't. Like, I didn't even care about the sharks. It was just these characters being stupid together. It was ridiculous.
Don't see them very much, that was the limit of their budget as far as special effects.
Also Christian. That's another thing. Like, now I'm going to think about Deep Blue Sea. I'm going to think about how much God talk there was and the themes of, like...
Yeah, that it was very out in the open. It was very blatant.
Christian, stupid, ridiculous.
What was the most 90s thing about this movie?
Watching a floppy disk get put into
that was exactly my thing.
And then all the shark schematics with this text of lines of text just file.
She's over here hunting and pecking.
Yeah.
Do you have anything to say about the rap at the end?
I know that Will Smith did a good job with Wild Wild West and all of his singings into things, but this did not work.
I think that this was one of the greatest cash grab recordings. It was pretty bad. I think he knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
And he knew that it was going to be garbage and did not care. I'm getting my fucking paycheck.
There you go. I mean, more power to you, I guess. But
and
wow.
One of the lines that I heard in there, I said something about Y2K. So I was like,
okay.
All right, this is where we are.
Yep.
That's what it's all about. I don't know, do you think part of it was, here are the limits of technology and here's why we shouldn't fuck with it, or here's how it's going to destroy us, kind of? Do you think that was tied into Y2K at all?
I barely even know what Y2K was.
That was
specifically for me, there was a whole religious vein to it where it's the world's ending, it's Armageddon now.
That was a big part of it, but some of it was, there was concern that the way things had been programmed was that when the dates switched over, it wouldn't be able to handle it.
Yeah.
And that everything would just kind of fucking break down.
Okay.
Which didn't happen.
No.
That was pretty much, but it was a big fucking deal, such that me in 5th grade or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I remember getting those, do you remember the little wooden bugs inside a little wooden case? I don't know if you knew these or whatever, but they were their little legs were loose, and so it looked like they were moving. They had Y2K bugs of those.
Oh.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so at school, kids would have the little, little wooden box that's maybe 2 quarters side by side in length, and then you'd open up and the little bug on a stick, which was
the
wood,
legs
and the legs are kind of hanging and jiggling, and then you would just dig what the fuck? Why did I wanted one so badly?
I don't even remember in what capacity I would have seen that, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Probably in school, maybe?
At either school or maybe on a shelf.
Just a random shelf.
A shelf at a store.
Yeah.
Maybe at a science museum type.
What? Yeah.
One of those.
Yes.
Actually, there was a store that used to be in Washington. No, not Washington. That's the shitty one in Evansville. Eastland Mall in Evansville. There was a store called Natural Wonders.
Okay.
And it has shit like that. And worry stones.
Fool's gold. Bags of rocks.
Yeah, rocks.
Rock candy.
I don't know if it was that, but then it was, water timers.
Yep.
And shit that you'd put on the swinging balls. I can never remember what that fucking thing's called.
Thing.
Yeah.
I don't know this one. But yeah, I wanted one of those too really badly in the 90s as well.
It was probably at that store that I saw
the clacker.
All right.
90s.
So,
Deep Blue Sea.
They don't make them like this anymore.
No, they continue to make them like this, just better graphics.
I don't know. I feel like there's no reverence for a dumb movie anymore. Everything's way too self-serious now, and they don't just let it be dumb.
I'm trying to think.
This for me falls between Jurassic Park and...
Because
I don't know if you've ever seen Soldier, but Soldier is one of my favorite movies.
No.
And it's, again, kind of like a cartoon, but a stupid action movie, but also weirdly very deep. And my dad and I watch it every once in a while, and we always see something new in it. But it's between those two in scope and cartoonishness. It has scope, but it is also silly.
I'm trying to think of good...
Because it's anything with scope now can't be silly. It has to be gritty.
What do you think about Simon Pegg's movies? Would they fall into letting it be...
The scope isn't quite up there. Okay. At least the ones that I've seen. I haven't seen many.
So obviously
it's just
Shaun of the Dead is
walking the streets in a city is not the same as here's this crazy underwater facility.
I think Simon Pegg's Shaun of the Dead it wasn't just... Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. I'm trying to think of anything bad. I think about the Meg. I keep bringing up because it's very similar in trope and actual plot,
right?
And characters are even similar-esque. But it definitely didn't do. It didn't. It kept on that side. You know what I mean? Like whereas like they were willing in Deep Blue Sea to make
to tweak
Samuel L. Jackson's crazy speech and then pull him out and die so quickly. We have the same kind of character in the Meg, but you know he's going to die. You can like they're actually setting it up because he's and they paint him as a bad guy over time. And it's like the silly speech, the weird bird, the preacher character. You don't have that in the Meg.
You don't have the comic relief.
Not in the Meg, no. And it's not as I don't know how to explain it.
I mean,
because there's definitely things where they did that was like obviously over the top. Their comic relief duo was killed almost instantly in the Meg.
Right.
It was like literally like one of the first couple deaths were the comic relief people.
I wonder if something comparable might be Crank, like the Crank movies.
Seen Crank movies.
I haven't either, but like academically, they have this very professional sheen, but they're also very stupid. Like, at least in the second one, having a bunch of Asian characters that are supposed to be, you know, whatever gang, but they're all speaking different Asian languages.
Oh my God.
And it's all, they're just saying whatever and putting whatever they want on the subtitles because nobody here speaks an Asian language.
Right.
So like, who's going to fucking know?
Oh, please.
But doing that consciously, like stuff like that sort of feels like it's the same vein. There's just no respect for a dumb movie anymore. In some cases, that's a good thing, because if you look back at some of the comedies from this year,
I don't even know.
A lot of the comedies are not going to hold. Like,
I'm trying to think. I don't watch a lot of movies anymore. Like, a lot of my watching movies days was back in like the 90s.
When I had time.
When I was a child and teen.
Didn't want to just pass out the second I got home.
Right, exactly. So I'm glad to be doing this because it's going to force me to watch movies. And I did sign up for some that I haven't seen yet.
Good.
Because I've wanted to see them, but like I never got around to seeing them.
Yeah, I haven't taken stock of the list, but there are quite a few that I have never seen. And this was one of them, and I am very glad to have seen it now.
Well, good.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I can't wait to watch more.
It was a great way to start.
Yay!
This is approximately the 23rd time I have attempted this recording. I'm in a place I have never recorded before because I moved recently, so I'm still getting used to the space and what's like. I'm actually thinking about, can I put enough baffling up in the outdoor storage? Because right now I am in my walk-in closet. I've built myself a fort of blankets. As fun as that is, I'm still finding it difficult to walk the balance between not embarrassing myself and being too loud for the neighbors and like this ASMR thing that I'm really not going for, but is really easy with my voice somehow. I just had a couple follow-up notes for this episode. I have a personal maxim that rappers are usually the best actor in a given film. This film did support that. We'll see if that carries forward to any other films that we see this year. And secondly, Rat Race does have both Rowan Atkinson and Cuba Gooding Jr., and it was a 2001 film, so please do not at me. This podcast will run all throughout 2019, and will feature a rotating cast of voices that will be familiar to Geekspective listeners, as well as some new ones who are really excited to talk to you. Starting next week, we'll be releasing every other Wednesday, hopefully with minisodes on off weeks. Things are looking pretty good for that so far. And every fifth Wednesday will be a very special megasode. And I don't really know what that means yet, other than it will feature an especially treasured movie and a very well-populated discussion table. 1999 lives on at Geekspective.com, where you can find other goofy podcasts like this one. You can reach out to us on the social medias at PlateGIF, PLITGYIF. I have some very brave volunteers that will be helping me with the Twitter and Instagram, and assuming that we haven't all vacated to Pillow Fort, I will be handling the Tumblr, where you can find, I don't know, probably pictures of my VCR and reblogs objectifying a young Thomas Jane. How about that? So I will talk to you later. Hope you can make it to the next party.